Your hands are clenched with fear, your heart is beating fast, and your eyes are squeezed shut. You know you should open them, but you're too scared of what you might see when you do. You don't know where you've just arrived, but you do know when, and you've been dreading your visit to this period. You're in the Late Cretaceous, around 70 million years ago. It's a time that's infamous for being home to some of the biggest and baddest predators that the world ever saw, giant carnivorous dinosaurs on land and mosasaurs in the water, which makes it arguably the most dangerous time to be a human of any period you've visited so far. But as you finally work up the courage to open your eyes, the dread begins to fade. This place seems pretty nice. You're standing on the powdery golden sand of a beautiful sunlit beach. It's a warm, bright day, around 25 degrees Celsius, with a refreshing breeze, and there's not a cloud in the sky. The long stretch of beach is sandwiched between the crystal blue water of the sea on one side of you and the dense green vegetation of a subtropical forest on the other. You peer off to the horizon, your eyes scanning for any other land masses, but you see only endless ocean. You found yourself in a secluded paradise, a place called Hateg Island, around 200 kilometers from the nearest neighboring land. In our time, Hateg Island will form a basin in the Transylvania region of Romania, but for now, it's one island of many in the fragmented European archipelago scattered in the Tethys Sea. You turn your attention away from the shore and look towards the island's interior, your anxiety once again settling in. This place may feel as relaxing as a tropical beach resort, but it's still the Late Cretaceous, and you have no idea what dinosaur dangers this island may contain. You cautiously tiptoe across the hot sand towards the forest's edge, moving as quietly as you can to avoid alerting any predators to your presence. You spot a tall tree, just a few meters into the forest, that seems like a good lookout spot to assess the threat level from. You approach the trunk and start to climb, sweating and panting in the sun. As you reach a spot where you can perch near the top, you peer down to observe the ecosystem below and silently wait. It's not long before you spot the shape of a bulky quadruped lumbering through the forest. But the dinosaur that eventually appears isn't scary at all. In fact, it's kind of cute. It's a sauropod, a long-necked herbivore, about 6 meters long from head to tail. It's an adult with dark leathery skin and patches of bony armor running the length of its back and tail. And it's almost comically small compared to the sauropods that you were expecting to see, the colossal, towering giants that shake the ground elsewhere at this time. This sauropod, Madyarosaurus, is only around 2 meters tall at the shoulder, about the same as a large horse, and just a fraction of the size of its mainland relatives. It's been evolving here on Hateg Island for millions of years and has become the smallest known sauropod species ever. But it's still the biggest dinosaur you see from your perch. Another 2-meter-tall dinosaur also emerges from the tree line a little way up ahead of you and ventures onto the sandy beach. It's a duckbill hadrosaur named Talbott-Williams. At around 4 meters long, it's only about half the size of your average mainland hadrosaur. Hateg, you begin to realize, is an island of dwarfs. Here on this isolated island with limited resources, these once gigantic herbivores have shrunk to survive. And luckily for both them and you, there's not a big predatory dinosaur in sight or any sign that they're even on Hateg at all. While the carnivorous theropods that you were dreading, like the tyrannosaurs and the abelisaurs, terrorize mainland ecosystems elsewhere, you found yourself in what seems like the Cretaceous on easy mode. You feel confident about your new environment. It seems like one of the safest possible spots for a human to be at this time. But just when you decide to climb down from your treetop nest, that all changes. A shadow envelops you, as if a cloud is passing directly above, but there wasn't a cloud in the sky just a minute ago. You're hit by a sudden gust of wind as something massive descends past the top of your tree, flapping its gigantic wings as it lands onto the beach close to the Talbott-Williams. It's a giraffe-sized pterosaur, but it's shaped unlike any other pterosaur in history, robust, powerful, and built for strength. With no other big apex predators here on Hateg, this pterosaur, Hategopteryx, has evolved to fill that ecological role. It's a pterosaur that has basically turned into a T-Rex. as you watch it chase the Talbott-Williams across the beach and into the forest, trying to bash and grab the dwarf dinosaur with its massive beak skull, your sense of dread returns. This isn't a peaceful island paradise at all. It's the hunting ground of a terrifying apex predator unlike any other. And you're stuck here with no way out. Hello, and welcome to Eons Surviving Deep Time, a podcast that gives you a human's eye view of what trying to survive in the past might have looked like. I'm Callie Moore, one of the hosts of PBS Eons, a YouTube channel about the history of life on Earth, and I'm here with Gabriel Santos, one of my co-hosts, to figure out if we would have been dead or thriving on Hateg Island in the Late Cretaceous Period. Hello, Gabriel.
Hi, Callie. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I am doing great. I'm very, very excited to talk about Hateg Island today because I just finished my very first season of Survivor. And so I've been thinking a lot about this from the Survivor perspective.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, I'm glad that you're ready for some hypothetical time travel. So let's get this started. What's one thing you know about this time period, the Late Cretaceous?
Kind of everything that the second graders at my museum know, so a lot about it. Lake Cretaceous, it's known for its amazing dinosaurs. You got your T-Rexes, your Triceratops, giant pterosaurs, things like that. So, as someone who was very much fascinated with dinosaurs as a kid and still am, this is very exciting for me to be able to talk about this time period.
Oh, yeah. Yep. So we are the world of giant dinosaurs, basically. Well, except for here, except for Hateg. The dwarf dinosaurs, and there's really no evidence of any large predatory dinosaurs at all. They're just like little guys, which is really exciting.
It is so cute. When the first time I ever heard about Hateg Island and the like miniature dinosaurs, I just had like this whole like side journey in my head about like a miniature Jurassic Park where
Oh,
things are a little less scary and like, you have an opportunity to ride like a miniature sauropod all Dinotopia style,
oh my
So
gosh.
it's just so
Yes.
cute.
I know. I would love to see this too. Yeah, the largest dinosaurs on the island were probably the little dwarf sauropods like Magyarosaurus, which I can't imagine. And it's even armored too, which gives it a whole nother level, I think, of awesomeness. It may be small, but it's armored.
It's armored? I had no idea. That makes it
Yeah,
actually even cuter.
I know. And so the question then is, could we ride them into battle?
Oh, 100%. I would
100%.
be like, this would be like full Ark video game like style. I'd look for these really cute dinosaurs with armor, start to train them, use it to be my beast of burden as I, really start to get this island set up to live and thrive on.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so excited.
I am too. I'm very excited, especially like a sauropod the size of a horse. Like, what?
That's like a dream come true. Well,
It really is. It really
like
is.
I've ridden horses before, and like for some reason horses are kind of scary to me to ride, but there's just something about a sauropod that feels less threatening. I don't know
Also,
what.
I doubt they could gallop or go
That's
very
true.
fast. I mean, probably a swift mall walk, but like, I don't know if it would go any faster than that.
That's fine for the island lifestyle, we're
True.
not in a rush, right?
No. We are definitely on island time here. And the reason why we think that these dinosaurs got so small is the result of island dwarfism. So, this is a recurring evolutionary phenomenon that occurs when large animals find themselves in an isolated environment with limited resources, like an island. So, you just get a little smaller so you don't have to eat as much, type of thing.
I love this concept in, natural history and evolutionary history because being from California, we have the privilege of having evidence of the dwarf mammoths off of the Channel Islands, right? So
Yes.
that's when I first learned about island dwarfism. And, just the idea of something that you see on the mainland that's huge and lumbering and just this, has this presence and making it a little smaller is just, again, it's so cute.
It's so cute.
I just want to like squee thinking about
I know. There's lots of. I would probably. That's probably what would get me killed the fastest on Hateg Island is squeeing and somebody hearing me and then be like, oh, there it is, and then you're dead.
Yeah, that's pretty fair.
But the terrifying thing, though, about this whole island is Hatzegopteryx, and that's filling the role of this apex predator that would usually be occupied by large theropod dinosaurs, like in the Americas or in Asia at this time, but not here, not in this European island chain. And so it just like flies around looking for unsuspecting prey, lands on these islands, and hunts dwarf dinosaurs.
See, that's even more terrifying, I think, than like a T-Rex, right? Because there's just something so scary about something that's able to swoop down out of the sky and take you out. Like it's the mix of a real life dragon that I usually say to the kiddos at the museum, but also while you were like saying the intro, when you said the shadow, it would remind me of like that thing from Avatar, like the last shadow, right? Like that's even more terrifying because you really don't see it coming until that last possible second when it's too late, and once you see that shadow, it's over.
And I'm sure they were like silent predators too. It's like they wouldn't let you know that they were coming in to eat you or anything. So like all you'd get would be the shadow and then being bashed to death by a 6-foot long skull or whatever it is. Actually, I think it was longer than that. But yeah, terrifying. Oh man. So while it seems like an island paradise, we do have some things to contend with. So we have a couple of categories here, and I want to know what your first priority is. We've got environmental hazards, food and water, and animal hazards.
Having just watched Survivor, I'm in that Survivor mindset. So for Survivor Hateg Island, the first thing I would still choose is food and water, right? You need water. You're going to hydrate or dihydrate. So you can only survive 3 days. So first water and then some kind of food source so that we've got energy to train our miniature sauropods and outrun these giant pterosaurs coming down to swoop and eat us.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to start. So yes, since we can only survive with 3 days without water, what's the freshwater situation like on Hatzeg? I keep wanting to say Hatzegopteryx. No, just stop at Hateg. Hateg Island. So Hateg actually has a pretty good source of fresh water. There's meandering rivers, freshwater ponds, wetlands. Though in the dry season, these may dry up. So depending on when we land, it might be lots of water or it could be a little bit more difficult. You might need to set up a desalination station or boiling the seawater and collecting the condensation, however that's going to work. I guess we have lots of big leaves probably.
But I feel like because these dinosaurs are living on Hateg Island all year long, there's got to be some sources, right? So I think if we don't locate our own source right away, I think one of the other things I would try to do is like go into like naturalist mode and observe where the dinosaurs are going, right? Take note of where they're getting their fresh water, kind of looking at the plants that they may be eating, if there's any fruits or anything like that, just like the low-hanging fruit that we can get and gather just to get us set up and locate like those maybe year-round freshwater sources before we have to resort to desalination.
Right. Yeah. I think that's a good call. So otherwise, we do have a little bit of limited resources. I mean, there are dinosaurs on the island, so there are resources, but it's a little limited. So this island is still kind of a largish place. It's a little smaller than modern day Ireland. So we've got some room to roam, if you will. And that means that there would be more than enough resources to support us, little old humans. Yeah. So I think we're going to be probably okay in that sense. Vegetation. So if we want to get our greens, we're looking pretty good. We've got ferns, gymnosperms, and finally even angiosperms. So like fruit. Hooray.
Yeah, see, we can have a lovely fruit salad in the morning on the beach before we go hunting a little sauropod and then sauropod steaks for dinner. It'd be great.
Yeah. We even have evidence of palm trees too. So we can harvest that heart of palm for a nutritious snack. You can cut them down and strip the bark, and it's very popular on naked and afraid to go after the heart of palm for sure, if you could get to it.
And I'm sure there's got to be like, if there's got to be fish and stuff that we can go,
Yes.
diving for or whatever. Make like a little spearfishing thing that they do on Survivor all the time, and me and you just go out. We're good. We'll be solid for food and water, I think, on Hateg Island. That's like the least of my worries, but it would still be the first thing to make sure that we're set on.
Yeah. Fishing is great. We've got a lot of things to catch. We got fish, crustaceans, mollusks, all sorts of stuff. There's like a boom in crab diversity at the moment, thanks to the Cretaceous crab revolution. So we've got a bunch of crabs. That'll be good, I guess. We also have freshwater crabs. So we get freshwater crabs. We got marine crabs. We got diverse fishes, all sorts of fishes. We've got coelacanths, sturgeons evolved in the Cretaceous. Maybe even catch one for some caviar. Be fancy. Very fancy.
I also want to know what a coelacanth would taste like.
Yeah, because they're super protected today. So not a lot of chance to eat a modern coelacanth. But back in the day, heck yeah, we'll eat them up.
They look pretty meaty too.
Yeah, hopefully one comes up close to the surface, because I think today they're mostly deep water. So I don't know if I can go as deep as coelacanth. So we might have to wait until they come up in the evenings or something. I don't know. We've also got squid and octopus, cuttlefish, and ammonites, Callie, not amniotes. We do have amniotes.
We have amniotes.
We got amniotes all over the place, but ammonites, they're still around. They're going to go in decline soon, and they'll be at the end of the Cretaceous mostly. But hey, if we haven't tasted one yet, now would be our chance to get an ammonite.
Some grilled ammonite.
I bet they were kind of a pain to get out of the shell, though. I mean, just bash it and get it out. But because you have the special little forks for escargot.
That's true.
Pop them out. I'm not going to bring an escargot fork with me, though.
We could make one.
We could make one. Yeah, we could totally make one.
It's gotta be something. We're very crafty people.
Speaking of amniotes, we could hunt dinosaurs. I'm sure they've lost a lot of their fear response to other terrestrial animals, so we might be able to just walk up and bash one on the head or something. It might be pretty easy. I know, it's terrible, but this is Survivor.
It's Survivor.
We're surviving.
I'll do it. I can do it. I could do it for this.
Yes.
I would probably cry for a few minutes after, because I would have to unfortunately unalive a sauropod, but that's okay. That's okay, because I would need to survive.
We got to survive. How to kill it, though? Like I said, bash it, maybe a pitfall trap. We might be able to scavenge on one that died recently.
I feel like I'd be afraid to kind of scavenge, though, because I feel like that might attract the big pterosaurs. If we would be easy pickings at that point.
Oh yeah,
right?
Yep.
Don't you think?
True. No, that's a good point. That's a very good point. We're opening ourselves to danger by scavenging. I think you're right. Sadly, we could target the young. Everybody loves to eat babies, so that would be. I don't even know if I could do it. A baby dwarf sauropod.
No, I'd look it in the eye just for a quick second. It'd be done, and then I'd be taking it back to camp with us, and then there's another mouth to feed.
You're my pet now.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yep. Let's go with the eggs. I bet the eggs would be good. Yeah. We'll skip the babies, eat the eggs. Yes. And we'd have to cook it, though. We'd need fire of some kind. Or maybe slice it just really, really thin and use some sea salt. Like
a little tartare kind of thing.
Yeah. Get some sauropod locks. It could be good.
We're really making quite the resort here now on Hateg Island.
We are. I think we are. We're making it a destination. A destination island for sure. Then on top of all of the dinosaurs, we also have other reptiles and amphibians hanging out. So we've got lizards, frogs, turtles, snakes, small crocodilians. So if we wanted to go after some smaller prey for snacks, I guess we got snacks.
Were there any mammals on Hateg Island at this point?
Yes. Yes. We do have mammals on Hateg, and they're mostly these small insectivorous rodent-like multi-tuberculates. And there's actually one group that is endemic to Hateg. So we got mammals, definitely. They'd probably be a lot less stressful to hunt than dinosaurs. Most of them are pretty small, so like snack size to single meal, but there's a few species that were estimated to get up to like 5 kilograms, which is like 11 pounds. That's like a skinny house cat.
Yeah.
Not my chunky house cat at home. He's much heavier than that. A slim house cat is about 11 pounds.
That's still enough meat on there, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. 11 pounds is great. So really, we're looking pretty good for food and water. We have a lot of options for food. Fresh water, depending on the time of year, might be a little trickier. But again, like you said, this island is supporting sauropods and they got to drink water. So there has to be a year-round source of water. So we just follow them and find their water source. Okay, so let's move on to some environmental hazards for the island, right? So we're in the late Cretaceous. The continents and everything are almost where they are today. It's a little different, but we're still pretty close. But it's much warmer during the late Cretaceous than it is today. And the temperatures on Hateg are pretty ideal. They're between 20 and 25 degrees Celsius, which is like 68 to 77 degrees Fahrenheit. That's like perfect.
That's
a perfect
perfect
day
weather.
at the beach right there. Yeah, that is a sweet spot for us humans for sure. Atmospheric oxygen levels are higher than today, 28% compared to the 21-ish that we're at modern times. So we shouldn't have any trouble breathing. Sun is going to get me. My pastiness is going to burn instantly out there. So don't spend too much time sunbathing for me. We could totally find shelter in the forest or build a little shelter, make a hat, or that would be fun to like weave a little hat and use mud as sunscreen.
I feel like, okay, so like on Survivor, since I'm still in this whole like Survivor kick right now, they got their food and water and usually they'll find some shelter, right? They'll build it out of whatever they have. And since temperature and like climate wise, it's very similar to a lot of the islands that they go to on the show. I feel like it'd be the same thing. Like, you know, there's plants, there's like probably some sort of woody tree type thing that we can make a nice little elevated shelter or like, in the Philippines, we make these things called bahay kubo, which are like these cool little elevated bamboo hut kind of things. And so we can make one of those kind of beachside, maybe choose like a nice east facing beach that we can get some good sunlight across the day and then keep us elevated, make sure that we've got shade from the sun, some nice breeze going through, but also keep us away out of sights, probably from the Hatzegopteryx.
Yes, we do definitely want to stay out of sight and be a little bit more camouflaged for our aerial predators, which we'll definitely talk about here in a minute. But yeah, the weather seems pretty good. The sun is gonna be island sun, so normal precautions there. We do have some evidence from ancient soils that suggests that the island did have a distinct rainy and dry season, so it kind of had a monsoonal climate. So it kind of depends on when we arrive, whether we're going to be very sad and rained on the entire time or have it be mostly dry and nice. We will have to think about that. If it's raining, we'll have to build our shelter with a better roof than I think we would have if we got there in the dry season.
Do you think after we make our sauropod steaks, we can make some sauropod skin roof cover to protect us from the rain and stuff?
Yeah, I bet so. Even for a horse-sized sauropod, that's a lot of skin. Yeah,
it's a lot of skin.
And it would totally be waterproof.
Right? It's kind of leathery and scaly.
Yeah. And armored.
Yeah, right? Armored.
Maybe it'll help.
Perfect.
Some way. I think our biggest threat, though, could be wildfires.
Ooh, yeah.
We don't have any like direct evidence of wildfires on Hateg specifically, but we do know the Cretaceous period in general was a high fire world. So that could be due to the higher atmospheric oxygen at the time, increased angiosperm fuel. There's a lot of things that could have been driving these wildfires. But although they may be rare on Hateg, it probably did have a wildfire randomly, especially during the dry season, and could mostly be from lightning strikes, which bleh.
I feel like as a Southern California born person, wildfires don't scare me as much. Maybe they should more, but I feel like I'm prepared. I kind of know a little bit about like some wildfire mitigation being from the area. So I
Right.
feel like we could prepare. If we
Yeah.
land like at the end of the wet season, we'll have our leathery, waterproofed shelter, do some fire mitigation. We'll just continue to build up our wonderful Hateg Island resort and go from survivor to like hotel reconstruction Hateg Island.
I love it. Yes. So in the way of environmental hazards, it's really just watching out for sun exposure and don't get blown away by monsoonal storms and don't get struck by lightning or die in a wildfire. I feel like it's pretty straightforward there for
I mean, like during this part of the later Cretaceous, right? Kind of besides like the higher oxygen and it being a little wetter, like things would be more familiar than they were when we were in the Carboniferous. So I feel like we have just a better chance and more familiarity during this time because we're starting to get closer and closer to what we live in our time period. So I feel like we have kind of more of an advantage being dropped off in Hateg Island time.
Yeah, agreed. Well, let's get to the scariest of them all, which is the animal hazards. Because there are animal hazards. We can start with the dwarf dinosaurs because I just love talking about them. I just think that they have to be the cutest thing that ever walked the earth, probably, other than a baby woolly rhino. That had to have been like the cutest thing ever. But
I would
we're
agree.
not there yet. We're not there yet. So dwarf dinosaurs, they're still strong and bulky. Like if we annoyed or threatened one of them, they could easily knock us over and trample us and whack it with its tail or something like that. So we definitely need to be aware of them and respectful.
Yeah. having
Respect-
having 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 started Ark Survival Evolved, right? Like you land on an island and then you got to start hunting dinosaurs. I know how easily your player can be killed, right? So we would be playing Ark IRL at this point. And
right.
so yeah, definitely we'd want to I think that's where we'd have to be our naturalist kind of scientist mode for a second, right? We'd have to take some time, do real good observations of like their behaviors, like kind of what annoys them. Are they where do they go to be relaxed?
Uh-huh.
Where do they go to hide out from the sky terrors, right? So I think if we start to observe them a little bit more, really get into that naturalist mindset,
Mhm.
feel like we can get a really good understanding of our new neighbors and also know when it's a good time to hunt them so they don't
Yeah.
associate us with hunting them.
Yeah. That would be good. That
Right,
would be
right.
good.
And then probably also figure out what we would need. Oh man, what we would need to pierce their armored hide and knock them out
Yeah.
so that we could eat them.
Yep. I know. Ugh, that's gonna be the hardest part. Oh, it's gonna be
We're
so hard.
we're both gonna like try the first time, look at them, look at each other, and just start crying because like I can't do it. You have to do it.
On the count of 3, we both do it.
Oh God.
Yeah. Oh, that's gonna be really tough. Maybe we'll just leave the dwarf down. I mean, we're gonna have to have at least one of
You have
them.
to-
We're gonna have to take one.
How do you feel about the young one versus an older one that we would try to hunt?
Old.
Because it's
Take the old.
older, right? Okay.
Yep. Yep. Especially if there's already one injured, it got a limp, slower than the others. Yep. I will be natural selection. I will be the selection. I will take that one for sure.
Okay.
Yes.
That's what
100%.
then there's our plan.
Yep.
We're going to look for an older one that we're going to, help put out of its misery, especially if it's injured, and we'll make steaks and leather out of it afterward.
Oh my goodness. And really following us through time here are the crocodiles. Oh my gosh. Every single time we travel since a very long time ago, we have to worry about crocodiles. So there's a few small to medium sized crocodiles from Hateg. They range in size from like 2 feet to 10 feet. So the largest ones are still about half the size of the largest and most dangerous crocs and alligators today, but still, that's 10 feet long.
That's
That's
10 feet.
That's 10 feet. So I'm definitely going after the little guys if I have to go after the little guys. But we need to worry about like when we go to get water in fresh
Yes.
water. Like they are ambush predators. They will see you before you see them.
I don't yeah, that's probably where we'd have to be really careful trying to get our water, right? Like, and then okay, so I know that during parts of the Cretaceous, there are lots of variations of crocodilians, right? There's like those cool ones that are like hunting on land. There's like those like bulldog crocodilians. We're just talking about very basic crocodilian forms, right? Just the ambush water predators. Okay, good. Because I'm not running away from a bulldog crocodile. I'm just going to give up at that point.
I'm not. Yeah, like in the Triassic when they run on two legs and stuff. No,
thank you.
We ain't got those no more. Luckily, it's just your normal run-of-the-mill crocodiles. Just stay out of the water type of thing.
Okay,
you
good.
Get death rolled or something. Yeah.
So we'll just throw rock in the water before we try to get some, scare them off.
Tap the water, see if anything attacks your stick or something.
Yeah. Or maybe we can use the sauropod vertebrae that we've collected at that point and make like a little safety area in the water. Like we'll rope like it off somehow.
Rope it off?
Yeah, like a little
this
buoy
is mine. Thingy. That is yours.
We just need like a little 5-foot space, alligator, crocodilian things. You stay over there. We've got our little area. Respectfully, the humans, stay away.
Yeah, we'll see if that works. I'm not sure if they would abide by our rules or not.
It's nature. I can wish, but we know that's not going to happen.
Well, since we're on the subject of water, let's think about marine animals. I mean, we've got ocean on one side and forest on the other side. So I'm sure we're going to spend some days at the beach hanging out there. The big dangers of this time are many, many dangers. We got sharks, mosasaurs, and plesiosaurs all swimming around in the late Cretaceous seas. And this is also the heyday of the mosasaurs, which are by far the scariest of all three of those, I think, personally. The biggest mosasaur that was around at this time, maybe not right around Hateg, but potential, was 17 meters long. I don't have the conversion on that, but that's really long. That's a
lot of meters.
That's a lot of meters. It is a lot of meters. And it's making them one of the largest marine reptiles of all time.
Freshwater is sounding really great right now.
I know.
I could do without sushi and grilled ammonites at this point.
Yeah. Because like you also have plesiosaurs, but they're probably less of a threat. They're eating mostly smaller prey, using their long necks to catch fish. But they're still pretty big and scary, and probably get a really nasty bite from one. So I wouldn't really want to mess with them. Like the elasmosaurs reach 10 meters, which is 33 feet. You could get slapped with a fin. Can you imagine that? Knock you out with a fin slap.
This is where Gabriel's inner child would get him in trouble, because if I saw an elasmosaurus out there for some reason, I had the biggest fascination with the Loch Ness Monster as a child, and thereby associated to plesiosaurs, right?
Of course.
It's something that attracts so many people and is part of my evolution as a scientist.
Mm-hmm.
So if I saw a real life elasmosaur or any other plesiosaur, something in my brain would click and I would have to go snorkel out there or like get as close as I can just to see them in real life.
You're going to be so dead.
That would be the risk.
You're going to be so dead. This is what curiosity killed the game. Like, oh my goodness. Go out and see an elasmosaur. So I've just been informed by our fact-checking team that 17-meter long mosasaurus was 55 feet long for us Americans here.
No, thank you.
No, thank you. No. But like I said, if you were out there swimming to get your good look at the Loch Ness Monster, you're also going to have to deal with the sharks and the lamniform sharks. They're radiating at this type, and this is the group that will eventually give rise to the infamous species like megalodon and great whites. Although at this time, you got to deal with another one. It's called Cretoxyrhina, and it was like similar in size to modern great white sharks. So there were some big ones out there still. And we know they come into shallower waters. Today, at least they do. So don't go out too far to get your good look had an elasmosaur, I guess.
What if I made a sauropod shark cage? No, that's stupid. Never mind.
You want like use the ribs and like put yourself
Yeah.
in a ball of ribs and go out there and
Look, it's the Loch Ness Monster. I have to see one. I have to go see it. I'm already time traveled. I'm trapped on an island. Might as well get to see a Loch Ness
how can
Monster.
it be worse? Well, I will say this, it does get worse because we do have predatory dinosaurs. We haven't even got to the scariest of them all. I'm going to leave that one for last, but the predatory dinosaurs on Hateg, there is this velociraptor-like theropod called Balaur bondoc, and we spent a lot of time trying to figure out how this is pronounced. And I think, Gabriel, you've got the best pronunciation for it, going Tolkien style.
Balaur.
Oh, that's so good. So good. So good. Anyways, this means stocky dragon. It's based on Romanian folk monsters, and it's just really, it just kind of comes together. It really just ties the whole thing together. But this thing it took being a velociraptor to like a whole nother level, because instead of having one sickle claw on each toe, it had 2 toes with sickle claws. No. It was smallish, 2 meters, 6-ish feet long, and about 1 meter, 3 feet high. So it wasn't like big. If you Google this thing, it looks adorable. But it's fluffy danger, though. It's danger. It looks cute, but it's dangerous.
See, like when we were all like, this feels like Jurassic Park. Everyone's like, ooh, ah, and then all of a sudden they're screaming. That's exactly what this is. Because me and you are all fascinated by the tiny sauropods, and out of nowhere, the Balaur comes out, and next thing you know, we've got 2 slash marks across our back, and we're in the second half of Jurassic Park being chased by these Balaur bondoc. And I don't know if I could handle that anymore. I feel like our beautiful paradise has become a nightmare.
It's quickly becoming one, that's for sure. We're not sure what this thing is. We say velociraptor-like because it kind of looks like a velociraptor, and it was originally considered a dromaeosaur, which tracks. But more recently, it's been argued to be a species of early bird that became flightless. So it arrived on Hateg and then became flightless afterwards, which happens to a lot of flightless birds, or a lot of island birds become flightless when they land on the island. So this could just be a big bird.
So, like, from the science perspective of things, this is amazing because already on Hateg Island, we've got like island dwarfism. We've got now like birds becoming flightless. Now, watching and observing, amazing, because the idea of this being a bird, one of the like para-aves things, landing on Hateg Island and being like, you know what? I like this place, and evolving flightlessness secondarily, and then having the 2 sickle claws, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, but like what is it? What does it need 2 of them for? Like
armored mini sauropods.
I guess if they could take one down, I mean, instead of like the classic like disemboweling slashing of velociraptors, we now are kind of thinking that it was more of like a latching onto, like holding down your prey as you eat them alive type of situation, which still is awful. But like not so much of the slashy slash, but more of just like grab. So I guess whatever they were grabbing, I guess it would be maybe baby sauropod, like something a little bit bigger than they were used to, and you needed 2 claws, 4 claws. Like it seems overkill.
It does. As we're talking about Balaur bondoc, that like this brings me back to something that kind of, I don't want to say bugs me, but like as a science educator at a museum, it's something that I'm always ready to address. Is like some people out there don't like their dinosaurs feathered, right? And they're like, oh, it makes them less scary. But like us talking about Balaur right now, it's a bird that's like kind of big for a bird and has 2 sickle claws that would hunt down, we hypothesize, these armored sauropods. That's still pretty scary. So I don't think feathers is what makes dinosaurs less scary. Just saying and putting it out there again.
No, I agree with you. When I first I think feathered dinosaurs started getting like really kind of mainstream when I was in undergrad. It's been a while, folks, but I remember thinking like these don't look right. Like I'd spent my entire childhood looking at non-feathered dinosaurs, and then all of a sudden feathered dinosaurs take over. And I did have to do kind of that mind shift of like, it's still scary. They're still scary. They still have teeth. They still have claws. They could still eat you and rip your face off. Like it doesn't take away any, just like T-Rex. Like we're now starting to think that T-Rex didn't have like the Jurassic Park roar. It rumbled and possibly hissed, but like,
That's still
I
scary.
would still pee my pants if a T-Rex hissed at me, like that doesn't feel like it doesn't take away anything. And of course, like cassowaries,
Yeah.
still scary. Still scary.
Well, even being chased by a goose is scary. So it's
Right.
fine. It's not fine for us because we're stuck on Hateg Island with a Balaur behind our back. But,
Yeah, and the jury's kind of still out now if there's like a real lack of theropods or if it's more of like a preservational bias. So like we're not sure where they are if we know that at least Balaur is there, but like other ones we're not 100% sure yet. So they have found a little bone nugget of something else, but we don't know what it is. So there's that.
Well, that's the beauty of paleontology in a way, right? Like the fossil record is going to be incomplete. It's always going to be incomplete. And we're piecing together the story based on what we find. And sometimes the story is going to change.
Right.
I think that's one of my favorite parts about paleo.
Agreed, 100%. So now let's talk about the flying elephant in the room that is going to bash us to death. And that is Hatzegopteryx, the apex predator of the island. This thing is just ridiculous. It's got a 10 to 12 meter wingspan, which 10 meters is 33 feet. So, that's like a small airplane getting eaten by a small airplane. That doesn't sound like very much fun. It was described by one pterosaur expert as a giant mix of a shoebill stork, a ground hornbill, and the Terminator.
Well, that doesn't paint a very happy picture at all.
Well, I don't think anything could paint a happy picture of it. Maybe when it was a baby. Oh, look at you. You're so cute. But like, as an adult, I think it's terrifying.
I mean, it's
Absolutely
a real life dragon
terrifying.
at that point. It's this
Almost,
giant
yeah.
wing monster that's going to swoop down. Sure, it doesn't have a fire breath, but it's got a huge beak that's just going to pick us up and smack us around, and then we're gone. It's going to take us back to its nest or something.
We got to keep an eye on the sky, that's for sure, and definitely be ready to retreat.
Back to our armored shelter that we've made from armored dinosaur leather.
Maybe carry a big stick. I don't know if it would help.
I don't know.
I don't think it would help.
I don't know if that's going to help. I mean,
think
like,
just make it mad.
Yeah. I mean, like, when I went to the Field Museum in Chicago, they've got that life-size, like, statue of Quetzalcoatlus, right? And, like, standing in front of that, which is, quote, giraffe height, but seems even bigger, is both awe-inspiring and terrifying, knowing that this thing once flew and walked the earth. So unless you can, like, get that scale, like, it's just, this thing is truly terrifying, especially because it can fly.
Yes. So I earlier I said that the skull was 6 feet long, but I couldn't remember. Well, I have it now. It's probably up to 2.5 meters long, which is over 8 feet. Over 8 feet. Like I would just be mouth. Like I would just
gone.
I would be eaten like super quick. No problems. One of the new shows, Prehistoric Planet, something like that, shows Hatzegopteryx or a Quetzalcoatlus. And everybody is just like, don't move and it won't see you type of thing. Just like, don't move. Just stay hidden. Can't see you. Just don't move. And I think I'm going to take that approach. Just like, don't draw attention to yourself. Just try to stay quiet until it passes over you. That would be so scary. That'd be so scary.
Did they know if Hatzegopteryx, like, were they living on the island or did they fly to the island as a hunting ground? Or do we just not have evidence of that at all?
I think a lot of people assume that they weren't living there, that they were flying and like this was their prey ground. But we don't have like a Hatzegopteryx nesting site anywhere else or something that they would be like living. But I mean, if you think about an albatross, they don't really have like a home base until it's time to make babies. And then
True.
they're somewhere. Otherwise, they're like in the air. They fly all the time. They're just aloft. So it could be that these Asdarchids just were flyers and just came down to mate and then took off again and just landed to eat stuff. Oh God. Us. Land to eat us.
Us. Again, we would go into naturalist mode. We'd observe what their feeding time is, and then we know when to not go outside.
So the Asdarchids are the big pterosaurs. So Quetzalcoatlus, Hatzegopteryx, there's another one that begins with an A, but they're all of these like giant pterosaurs. That's the group that they're all grouped under, is the Asdarchids, which is kind of a cool name too. So, well, for animal hazards, we do have quite a few. We need to respect our dwarf dinosaurs. We got to watch out for crocodiles in freshwater and probably in the marine settings too. We got Balaur Bondoc, that's going to attack us with all four claws. God, all sorts of stuff in the ocean. Sharks, mosasaurs, plesiosaurs, and we'll try to keep Gabriel from being eaten looking at an elasmosaur. And then, of course, Hatzegopteryx, the most scary of them all that we got to deal with. So we do have some animal predators, at least, to worry about during our time in the late Cretaceous on Hatzeg Island. So
it was all going so well until we started talking about the animals.
We had this thing. We had it beat until that dang Hatzegopteryx had to show up and eat us all. Yep. Oh, man. So now that you know a little bit more about the late Cretaceous, what do you think your chances of survival, and do you still want to go?
Yes, I still would love to go. I think our chances, while there's Hatzegopteryx, like giant mosasaurs and things like that in the water, and Balaur chasing us around, I still think we could survive quite a bit. If we were smart with our shelter, we observe our animal hazards, we've got food and water covered. We know that. I think we could last a bit. We're smart people, right? We're both paleontologists. We've got degrees to show it. we have critical thinking skills. So I think we could survive. And I would definitely still want to go, not just for the elasmosaur as a childhood dream, but like this is the time and of the dinosaurs, right? This fulfills so many things. And the fact that they're mini dinosaurs makes it, I think, totally worthwhile to just sit there, me and you crying at their cuteness for a couple of hours a day. Totally worth it.
Yep. 100%. 100%. I agree with everything you just said. What's the biggest mystery we could solve about the Cretaceous if we could just go there?
I think for me, at least, it would probably be like dinosaur colors, right? Or like just what they look like. I think paleo artists do such a great job of creating believable, reconstructions of these creatures. And there are some, dinosaurs that we have like good evidence to kind of suggest what their coloration might be. But just sitting there and actually seeing what they actually do look like, I feel like if we were to come back, we're like, have a conference of all the paleo artists, like, all right, everybody, this is the color scheme, and just show it on the back. This is it. We've solved it. Get
done.
to it.
We know. I know. That's a good one. I'd want to know why Balaur has double toe claws. Like what? What are they doing with them? Why do they need two? That still is just like, it's the only one that I know of that has double toe claws. Like,
yeah, I would want to figure that out. Not with me as the experiment, but like one of the small miniature sauropods.
Right. I want to figure this out from a distance for sure.
Wait, sure. Kelly, do you think as we're time traveling back, we could take a quick stop to when Tolkien was writing Lord of the Rings and just subtly introduce, like, listen, new creature for your world.
It's so
Balaur.
good.
Just saying. And then
slip him a piece of paper out of our time travel machine and jump back in. Just like, this is good, dude. Just trust us on this. We're from the future. From the past. We're coming from the past back to the future. Oh my goodness. Paradox. Jeez. Okay, so what's one item you'd want to take there with you?
I would actually say, if I could, I'd take a machete back
Oh, yeah.
with me.
That would
That's
be a
a
good one.
multi-purpose tool. I
Yes.
could use it to hack up an old armored sauropod, right? I could maybe we could use it to take down a Hatzegopteryx if we were like really careful, right? They got really hollow bones. I mean, strong hollow bones, but they still got them hollow bones to let them fly.
Right.
So
I know,
maybe we
take
could
out a
use
leg
that
or
too.
something. Yeah. I mean, I doubt a tripod pterosaur would be very good. You know, if you take out a leg,
Yeah.
probably not the best on three legs.
Yeah.
I don't know. Machete is pretty good. That's a pretty good one. Because then we could cut down all of the stuff to make our platforms, especially if you had the saw back on it. We use it as a saw, use it to cutty, use it as a stabby tool. Yeah. I think that's a good one. I don't even know what I would bring back. Maybe at this point, just a pot.
Sunscreen?
I'd go through it in like a day. Oh my gosh, a full sun suit, just USPF. That's the post office.
SPF?
SPF. Oh my gosh. We've spent too much time in the late Cretaceous. Jeez
Yes.
Louise. All right, what's one non-living souvenir you'd want to bring back with you?
Can I bring back an ammonite shell? Does that count?
Yeah, like a fresh one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. I'd bring back that.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I'd bring back our skin with the armored plates still in it, I think. I'd have
Can you
these.
imagine the jacket you could make out of that?
Oh, man. I would be the bee's knees of every single paleontologist. Like, what? Your leather jacket is made out of dwarf sauropod? Yes. And I killed it
You could
myself.
you could show up to the Paleo Society banquet dinner a little bit late, open the doors and just be like,
I'm
"What's
here.
up?"
Check it. Yep. It would be amazing. Oh my gosh. Well, Gabriel, I think we survived. I think we actually almost thrived together. I think so. Yes. So thanks for joining me on this hypothetical time travel back to the late Cretaceous.
My pleasure. Always happy to be your companion on these time traveling adventures.
Yes. It's time for you to leave your island home behind. As you watch your final sunset from the beach and wave goodbye to the dwarf dinosaurs that kept you company, you feel a tinge of sadness. Sure, there have been dangers. You won't miss constantly scanning the skies to spot a Hatzegopteryx before it spots you, but Hateg Island has also been an unusually scenic and charming place to visit. Of all the places you could have ended up in the late Cretaceous, you're glad you've landed here. And your sadness at leaving is magnified by the fact that despite this ecosystem being unique and secluded, you know that won't save it from what's coming. Just a few million years from now, the late Cretaceous will end with a bang. An asteroid will smash into the Gulf of Mexico, triggering a sudden mass extinction event that will leave the entire planet in disarray. Almost all the strange species that you've encountered here, from the dwarf dinosaurs to the giant pterosaurs, will perish along with their mainland kin. And the bright and beautiful landscape of Hateg will turn from delightful to desolate almost overnight. You may have been dreading the perils of the late Cretaceous at first, but as you're about to see on your next adventure, perhaps the most dreadful aspect of the time period will be the way it ends. Thanks for joining us on this journey into deep time. Tune in next episode for a human's eye view of the catastrophe that ensued after the asteroid impact at the end of the Cretaceous. In the meantime, you can find us telling more stories from our planet's past over at youtube.com/eons. This episode was written by Farhan Mehta, fact-checked by me, Callie Moore, and hosted by me and Gabriel Santos. It was edited by Chris Ankiko, and our sound design and mix was by Callie Dishman. The show is produced by Sarah Suda, our script editor is Dr. Paige Madison, and our editorial director is Dr. Darcy Shapiro. Our executive producers are Seth Radley and Hank Green. The executive in charge for PBS is Maribel Lopez, and John Campbell is PBS's Assistant Director of Programming. Eons Surviving Deep Time is a production of Complexly for PBS Digital Studios, and we are distributed by PRX. Until next time, you can always visit us over at youtube.com/eons for more stories from Deep Time.